Hello, this video is for topic 3, building functions, and this is for learning target 2D, which is asking us to sketch graphs showing key features given a verbal description of the relationship. So let's understand what we're being asked to do. We're going to sketch graphs. Well, if I have an XY axis, I know I'm going to make a line somewhere on this XY axis. I'm sketching these graphs, and in these graphs, we're going to show key features given a verbal description. So if they give me a verbal description, they're telling me in words something about this graph so that I can sketch it. So let's take a look at an example. It says sketch a graph with an x-intercept of 3 and a y-intercept of -6. This is my verbal description. I'm going to make a graph. So the first piece of information it tells me is an x-intercept of 3. Well, in order for me to graph this, I have to know what an x-intercept is. Well, I know that my x-axis is my horizontal axis. So an x-intercept is simply going to be a specific point on this x-axis, and the point I want is 3. So on my x-axis, I'm going to go to 3 and put a point. Now my second piece of information that I'm giving is a y-intercept of 6. So just like an x-intercept was a dot on the x-axis, a y-intercept is going to be a dot on my y-axis, and it's going to be at -6. So on my y-axis, I'm going to put a point down here at -6. Now I've used all the information that the problem has given me, and I got these 2 points on my graph. So how am I going to make this into a line? Well, I'm just simply going to connect them to make my line. And I've used my verbal description to sketch a graph. Here's another example. Sketch a graph that goes through -2, 5 that has a slope of 3. So my first piece of information is that it tells me it goes through -2, 5. Well, whenever I have an ordered pair like this, I know that the first number is x and the second number is y. I also know that both numbers are going to make 1 point. Both numbers are used to make 1 point. So if my first number is x, on my x-axis I need to go to -2. My second number was y, so on my y-axis I need to go up to 5. So -2, 5 would be right here. Do you guys see how that's at -2 on my x-axis? And my y-axis is 5. So that is the point I am looking at. Now my second piece of information says it has a slope of 3. Well, we know that slope has this phrase, rise over run. Because the top number tells me how far up and down to go, and the bottom number tells me how far sideways to go. So I have a slope of -3. But I want it to be a rise over run. I want it to be a fraction. So to make -3 into a fraction, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a 1 on the bottom. It's going to be -3 over 1. So my rise is going to be -3, which means I'm going to go down 3. And I'm going to go to the right 1. So from this green point that we already have from over here, I'm going to count down 3 and to the right 1. So down 3 and to the right 1. And then I'm going to count that again, down 3 and to the right 1. And one more time, down 3 and to the right 1. Down 3 and to the right 1. And now I can connect all of these points to make a line. One more problem here. Sketch a graph that goes through 1, -5. That is always increasing. So my first piece of information I've seen before. I got 2 numbers, remember an x and a y ordered pair, that are going to make 1 point only. 1 point only. So if I go to 1 on my x-axis and -5 on my y-axis, that's down here. Now, my second piece of information tells me it's always increasing. Well, increasing. Well, that means I have to go up. But it's not telling me how far to go up. So I get to choose whatever I want. I get to choose to go up however far I want. Well, I'm going to choose to go up 2 and over 3 because I need increasing. So I definitely need to go up, and then I'm going to go over 3. So from this green point that I already have, I'm going to go up 2 and over 3. And I'm going to do that again, up 2 and over 3. And I'm going to connect my points to make my line. So even though it told me increasing, since it didn't give me a number, I get to choose whatever I wanted. And I chose that I was going to go up 2 and over 3.